Welcome to the Houston Hustle, the podcast that spotlights the movers, the makers, and the doers shaping the city we love. Each week, we sit down with Houston's top entrepreneurs to talk who they are, how they built it, the principles that drive them, and what success means beyond the highlight reel. This is Real Hustle, real stories, real Houston.
Hustle. I'm Dr. Paige Ward.
And I'm Dr. Charlie Ward.
And today we have our guest, Dr. Danielle Griffin with Good Life Coaching by Danielle. So tell us about who you are and what you do.
Well, like I said, Dr. Danielle, and I help busy professionals who are high achieving in busy, stressful work environments help relieve the stress, calm their nervous system, and give them functional tools that they can use in the workplace to manage that stress.
That's definitely important. I know what that's like. So what got you into this?
Really my own life experience. Coming out of COVID, my family, we lost my father. My husband lost his father. I was just had a baby postpartum. This was 2021.
You were going through a lot.
We were going through a lot. We bought a house, had to go back into the workplace, had a business, all the things. It was just really stressful life. I had postpartum depression, struggling with high blood pressure after the pregnancy, just really couldn't get my life back.
Yeah.
Helping my mom after losing my dad, and my husband came to me and was like, you're looking old. Like you're losing sleep, bags under your eyes, eyebrows turning gray, all the things. And I'm like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Just burning the candle at both ends and not able to get my life back. I was trying to eat healthy, work out. I even became a certified yoga instructor.
Oh, wow.
But I was finding that doing more wasn't helping, even though I thought more was the right things to do. And so I just started doing some research on, holistic methods as well as mindset shifting. And so that's when I came across somatic exercise, came across hypnotherapy as a source, and I started practicing these things, trying them for myself, learning about them. And within 30-60 day period, people outside of me, right, started noticing a difference, started seeing a shift, more alignment, being able to let things go off my plate, because it was hard for me to say no. First, I wanted to do everything.
A little bit.
People pleaser. Also, high achiever.
Yes.
When I can do all the things, but it wasn't to my benefit.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And I started to recognize that and see that, and it took some time to let go and see those shifts. But I think with those practices, when my body started to feel better mentally and physically, it all just kind of came together. And then from there, once I made it to a certain place, just in how I felt and how I presented to others about all those things, I realized I have to learn it and share it with other people. So I wrote the books, Somatic Exercise Made Simple, my book series. Started with one book, but became more.
That is very cool.
And then, the rest kind of blossomed into this business that I have.
So when did the business start? What year?
In 24.
24. Okay, nice. So it's still relatively new.
Yeah, it's still relatively new for me, but it's grown a lot, especially because of the books.
Yeah,
that
helps bring some more notoriety to it.
Right, and that's really, the education piece, helps build trust as well, but it gives people a resource, hey, here's some tools, that I can just hand to you. Right?
Yeah.
And it's easier to share that information. People can pick it up whenever they want to. And then when they're ready to do more, they can do more.
Yeah, it's like the dipping the foot, and then they can really go full send with you if they want.
Exactly.
So how many books have you written then?
3 so far.
So far.
Do you have plans for more?
Potentially a workbook journal I'm working on.
Yeah, that's always good.
Yeah, I've been tossing back and forth, looking at different things that are already out there, what's effective, what's not. I feel like high achievers, people that are in the workplace a lot, our biggest struggle is time management and planning. And so I'm kind of trying to weave some sort of resource like that into it to assist. So to be continued.
I love it. So where do you want your business to go in the future?
Yeah, really. Well, at least my immediate goals right now is doing more training education, getting out there, working with businesses to provide support to their employees and their staffs, putting in programs in place to support them. So basically doing more speaking and things like that. Um, and then, just eventually just being able to build more accessible resources. Because I've recognized like, hey, I'm only one person. I can only do so much. I can only, take on something like one-on-one, and even with group coaching, it still can be limiting or time consuming. And so I'm just working on ways to be able to package or put together what I do so that people can have access to it in various media. So,
Well, that's awesome. How hard or like how common do you feel like it is, since you work with business owners, for them to struggle with like the letting go of things and the delegating like you were talking about?
it's very common, especially when there's those of us who are, is it high achieving, but like want to move up the ladder.
Mm-hmm.
And for speaking for myself, this was definitely how I kind of found myself in that position where I wanted to be in a position of leadership. I worked at one of the universities. I was trying to, up the ladder essentially. And when you're kind of in that, in a way, vulnerable state, like not necessarily saying that your job will take advantage of you or that's their goal, right?
But it
like,
happens.
right,
They're willing to put in that work.
put in the extra work, right? And the time commitments and all the things that go around taking on extra projects. Convince yourself like, oh, this is for my benefit, right? This is the extra training and education, I'm getting extra skills and all of that. But finding that line, like where at what point am I going to say what are my values, what's important to me? And I had to recognize like my family is most important.
Like your non-negotiable things.
Right. And I was finding that I was spending too many hours like coming home from work and working.
Yeah.
My small toddler, I feel like it probably wasn't the case because of that mommy guilt, like taking care of himself essentially, or my older kid taking care of the toddler because I'm working. Like, oh, go get him a snack and do this because I'm too busy to get up or like fully be present. And so, been able to for myself and help others shift, their mindset, shift like the work will always be there.
Yeah.
You're also creating what's the word? Your workplace needing you.
Yeah.
Like you're a value, you're an asset to them.
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of times people will build themselves a prison. Like they just make it so that they're trapped in that and they just keep, instead of giving themselves more freedom or more things that are important to them.
Right.
How often do you feel like then, like, because you said you work a lot with mindset, do you feel like people hold themselves back from success because of their mindset currently?
I think that also happens as well. It's a little bit different though. The folks that I often work with, often dealing with a lot of stress, pain, the stress manifesting itself in the body, physically in the body. And so they start to convince themselves that something or they're not capable of doing certain things, or they start to have the limiting beliefs that
they tell themselves like a story.
Right, exactly. And maybe something did actually happen, but they're struggling to overcome that in order to be productive and successful. So there's two sides of the coin.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. What do you think has been one of the more challenging aspects of getting, like, your biggest challenges of this business?
A few things. One being for the people that I work with, the time, trying to not necessarily convince them, but show them when they think somatic exercise, they think, oh, I'm already doing exercises, I'm going to work out and things like the somatic exercise is, think of more of it as like a learning exercise, right? You're not necessarily taking more time. You can take 30 seconds, 90 seconds, 10 minutes. It can be short stints. It's building awareness of what your body truly needs in that moment. Listening to your body, doing some movement, some breath work, or just sitting and meditating to relieve some of the stress, anxiety that you're carrying. And so that doesn't take an hour at the gym to do. A lot of it's like educating and showing people what that means and what that looks like. And then, kind of relieving some of the stigma around it, thinking it's woo-woo.
Yeah.
A lot of various associations. A lot of people want to associate it with yoga, and there might be some similarities in terms of some of the movement, some of the stretch works, right, breath work. But in and of itself, it's not yoga. And it's things that you can't do in the workplace. It's things you can do at your desk, in your car, while you're like sitting in the parking lot. You don't have to be in a yoga studio in a workout outfit or anything like that to do it. So
Yeah, that's good.
Exactly.
What do you feel like sets you apart in this field from other coaches?
I think one of the main things is I am big on accessibility, making sure that everybody can utilize it, no matter their abilities, whether it just be some of the breath work. You can do it sitting in a chair. You don't have to be down on the ground, especially because a lot of the folks that I work with have, either have injuries, accidents that are like postpartum. They aren't fully physically able or are still working through some of those trauma events, but just making sure that people have different avenues and equipping people with the tools. And that's kind of my biggest thing, meeting folks where they are.
Yeah, that's really important to be able to do that. A lot of people get in their head about what they're able to accomplish, like some of those barriers that you were talking about earlier. And sometimes those are just up here,
Right.
And so working past those with people and getting them moving properly, breathing properly is really important.
Right. Yeah. I think, especially before I started, like when I wrote the book, that was one of the main things I went into writing the book with, thinking about the people that I know and like, what has kept them from doing certain things, like yoga, for example, like, oh, well, it's just a bunch of skinny women in the studio and I'm not that, or I'm not stretchy, I can't put my leg over my head, or like, you don't have to do any of those things. So I wanted to make sure that not only did I tell them in writing, but I showed them, like showed images, showed myself doing it, because I'm not a skinny woman. Like I'm just a normal person doing these movements, basic ability stretches, and then in the setting, and the setting is at home.
Yes.
And so I think that was important too, not in a studio. So people would say like, you can just do it from your house. You don't have to have all the equipment and all the things. So it's that simple.
What was it like writing a book? Like,
I did have a writing coach, but I didn't think about it beforehand. Like I didn't know necessarily that I was going to write the book. I came across a couple of people who, just encouraged me to do that. Because when I finished my doctorate degree or my dissertation, that was the longest thing I've ever written, right?
if I could do this.
Right, exactly. When I finished my degree, that was in 2019, I wanted to write something, but between work, mostly work, right? And then I had my youngest son. I was like, I'm never gonna have time, or like I don't even know how to go about it. All the things like conceptualizing how do I write a book, how do I make this a product, But when I came across the writing coaches and they outlined it for me, like how to continue to make progress on it and like make sure your work is getting out and all the things, I was like, wow, this is actually doable.
Yeah.
Like this is something I can do. And so I went ahead and utilized one of their services to help me get through the process, and it worked. So
Yeah, I'm saying that's great. So that's
Yeah.
really, really awesome.
Well, that was part of one of the advice that they gave, like especially with the first one. They're like, whatever you're thinking, just go ahead and write it all, but we're not going to put it all in one. It's way too much information for one book for most people, right? You're not writing a textbook, so figure out what needs to be in the first one, and the rest of it you can have a series, and that's basically
Bite-sized pieces,
Right.
for people to be able to take that information and then add to
right.
it.
Exactly, people who want to build on it and grow in the practice, learn more information. Now you have that set up for them. And that's basically what happened. You know, as I continued, you know, I added more to what I had to make it more substantial and flow better, right? Because I'm like, okay, now I'm thinking more of it like a series and what needs to be in the second part and the third part. But like I said, they kind of helped make it make sense. So it was enlightening.
No, that's really cool. How do you handle your work and family life balance?
One of the things that I learned before even writing the book, when I was learning about the somatic practice and everything, the boundary that I created was I stopped work at 5.
Oh, that's cool.
Like that's one of the hardest ones, especially when it came to my relationship with my husband, or work hours and work in general between our full-time stuff and our business at the time, and we just needed a cutoff. We needed time with each other as a family. I think that was a kind of a mutual thing, and I honestly was the number one culprit. So I was like, all right, I'm committing myself to not working past 5. There's occasionally
Right.
but we try to communicate in advance, like, hey, I have this thing today, or the project I'm working on, I have to work past 5, and then we communicate. But it's not just like what was often happen, like, oh yeah, I'm coming, and then it's like, so I still haven't.
Yeah.
It is tough as a business owner to set those boundaries, though, because it's easy to just be like, okay, yeah, I need to get this done. I have to do that. And then it snowballs, essentially.
Right. Yeah, it definitely is. But I think I learned, kind of time blocking throughout my day as well. We were really utilizing the calendar, which is why I was talking about the planner idea with the journal, and utilizing what I've learned and what I practiced throughout the years, to help me plan my day, to help me be more productive, as well as lower my stress levels. Um, Being able to incorporate my practice and manage my business, all within those few hours of the day.
Yeah. No, that's good. I mean, a lot of people waste time scrolling, between things too. So if you can really schedule it out,
Yeah.
I feel like that keeps you on task a lot better.
Right.
Do you just service like the Houston area? Like what's your demographic here?
Honestly, pretty much anyone in the U.S.
Okay.
right now, because majority of my practice is virtual.
Yeah, I kind of wondered. That's why I was asking.
Yeah. As well as, like I said, when I do workshops and things, I go into businesses. So a lot of that is here in Houston. But occasionally some will have me come out of state to go into their company to do some offsites, or different things. So.
That's cool. I mean, I think your testimonial is really awesome. I mean, you obviously have gone through the process yourself and put all of that into place. So for our listeners, how do they get in contact with you?
Yeah, the best way is through my website, drdaniellegriff.com, as well as social media. Social media is Dr. Danielle Griff as well. So Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, I'm on majority of them.
Oh, TikTok even. You're
Yeah.
with it. I like it. Okay.
How about your books? Where can they find those?
Yeah, also on my website, this year I actually opened an online shop.
Next.
So all my books are on there, as well as some other wellness products. Like, you can't see it on the camera, but my hoodies that I designed myself.
You designed those?
Yes.
Those are so cool. I love that.
Hoodies and shirts and some other tools as well. Like I said, like fully supporting people with their wellness needs. So however it might look for them, kind of embodying the somatic practice. So my shop online, as well as Amazon and other online bookstore as well, but preferably my shop.
Yes, absolutely. Royalties you have to pay to like yourself,
Right.
besides Amazon.
Right.
Very cool. Well, thank you for coming on our show today, and we'll see you all next week.
You've been listening to Houston Hustle, celebrating the entrepreneurs who are shaping our city. If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone building their own dream. Until next time, keep building, keep learning, and keep hustling.